Hello, hello, hello. Uncle Ron stuff. Today's topic is a follow-on to a previous one. This is about a Fujitsu mini split. This is about the outside unit, just an intro to it. I will have other video that shows it and how to get to it apart to clean it and what you got to watch out for and blah blah blah. Anyway, this is an intro to mini split, and they are not like a normal HVAC outside unit. A normal outside unit usually takes 240 volts AC, and when temperature thermostat says I need more cool, a relay closes in the main outside unit and shoves 240 volts AC directly to the compressor unit, which kicks on and runs at a constant speed until the temperature thermostat inside says, I'm good, and it releases that relay and the compressor shuts off. That's the normal HVAC sort of thermostat to compressor control. Not true with a mini split. Mini split takes a different, and it's kind of an advanced evolution, if you will. It's an interesting one. It has some drawbacks to it from a homeowner point of view. First of all, yes, it's 240 volts AC. That's what gets supplied to the outside unit. It's not any different than the big boys, but it takes a different approach to the compressor. And what it does is it takes 240 volts AC, converts it to DC, direct current, and then, depending on various sensor inputs, such as the thermostat, the outside air temperature, the pressure that's in the return line or the liquid line, and it creates a new 240 volt signal, but it can vary the frequency. Normally, line frequencies from your power company are 60 cycles per second, and that's what 240 volts, 60 cycles per second is supplied to a normal HVAC system that you probably have outside in a big cube or a big rectangle. That's not the case with a mini split. It actually does a power conversion, and it shapes then via frequency how fast that compressor is going to run. Yeah. Now, with any sort of power conversion like that, it's never 100% efficient, and it produces heat. And I will show you later that the big giant control board, which is about the size of a motherboard in a modern computer, has a giant heat sink on it, because the whole conversion process is not efficient, and it generates heat, and it's got a big heat sink out there, and air that the fan is blowing over the coils also blows over that heat sink. Now, if your fan isn't running for any reason, the whole unit is not going to run. For one thing, that heatsink won't be doing anything, and there's probably a temperature sensor on it as well that says it's gotten too hot, shut down. So the basic thing I want to tell you about a mini split is it handles the compressor differently, and in fact it varies the frequency to that motor, which causes it to run at different speeds, and it can be oscillating or moving around all the time. It does not have to be a fixed speed. Now, that means it also has a different pump pressure, if you will. It can also vary all the time, which makes it very difficult to try to hang on a HVAC set of gauges and get any kind of a reasonable understanding reading of the pressures on the liquid line and the vapor line that go out of your HVAC compressor, your mini split compressor, up to the coils that's inside your house someplace, and then back out in the way of vapor back into the compressor to complete a full cycle, because the compressor is not necessarily running at the same speed at any 1 second. It can change from second to second, literally, because of that frequency shaping or frequency curve that the giant control board is sending it. So that's the difference between the two, and the main point is you have to have air blowing over those coils and that heatsink. So if you're having mini split problems, first thing to see if the fan is running at all. If the fan's not running, it may be bad, or it may be that the HVAC outside mini split is not getting proper power, or it has shut off for some reason. The pressure is too low in the lines. The mini split converter board has gone bad. All kind of things. But the cautionary tale here is you can't just hook a HVAC set of gauges to it and expect to get any kind of reading that you would consider normal. I got a call coming in from Hilton. What? Anyway, I did in fact have to deal with my inside unit and clean it out, and then I decided I had never touched the outside unit since I moved here, and I use the whole mini split so infrequently. In fact, I think it was put in because they didn't properly set up the whole house HVAC system. It had a lot of leaks in the ductwork, and no one knew how to set the control board for the Linux system, which I have. And once I figured all that out, the main unit handles the house perfectly. But before I did that, if it got to be 90 degrees outside, the inside, like the living room, would only hold it to 75 or 78, something like that. So somebody decided something wasn't right, and they added on a Fujitsu mini split that really just covers the living room. And it is fine for that. If you run it all the time, it'll cool that living room. It won't do anything else, but it'll do that. So that's why it was added. It was not the original. It's not the main cooling heating unit of the house. It was an add-on, I think, because they found it just couldn't cool sufficiently in the summertime the way it was set up. And that was all related to the Honeywell control board, which I have another video on. And if you have a Linux system, you probably have, unless it's been swapped out for a whatever standard, everybody uses the same board. But Linux does manufacture their own control board, and technicians by and large don't know how to deal with it and how to set it properly. And it can take more than one trip to set it properly, and that's why the engineers, the technicians don't like dealing with it. You can't set it and forget it. It has to run for a while, and you know how to change various blower settings per zone and so on and so on. That's a different story. But anyway, mini split, it was added on as a add-on because the whole house AC wasn't doing its trick. The bottom line is that it does take 240C. You've got to be careful around that. The power, it should have a cutoff, a pull out, or a set of fuses or something right by the unit that you can pull out, cut out. And if you ever work on any electrical thing, you take a voltmeter and check sure everything is dead. You do not trust electricians. Believe me, they can make mistakes, and every indication says you're dead, but you're not dead. And you don't want to be dead because somebody boo-booed when they wired something. Okay, Fujitsu mini split. The outside unit definitely needs to be cleaned. The coils can get clogged and you don't pull any air through. So even though your fan may be running outside, if you put your hand up in front of that fan and you got a little or nothing, you definitely have clogged coils. and the sheet metal needs to be taken off the unit, which is easy, what I'll show you, and use a cleaner of some kind, a liquid spray cleaner. They sell coil cleaners, and then a hose, and thoroughly clean the coil systems on that outside unit. Again, the air fan out there is going to pull air across the giant heat sink that sits on top of that control board that sits at the very top of the unit. That's an overview of everything, and again, the gauges, it's going to be hard to try to get any kind of a reliable reading out there on them. My particular unit takes 410A, and you can, as a homeowner, buy small quantities of 410A, so you can charge your system. And I have done so, but I'm not comfortable that I did it correctly, I can tell you that. It does work, but I'm a little mystified why it does, and I'll explain that later. So I had this already prepared, but the volume wasn't correct, so I had to redo it. This is the 13th of December 2024, and this is about the Fujitsu mini split outside unit. That's all for today.